everyone. Welcome to this week's edition of the Grand Gauntlet. We're coming to you one day early this week due to some travel, but we've also got the USDA supply and demand report coming up this Friday. Not typically a major report, given we've got the report coming up at the end of the month. That one's a big one. But we've got Patrick Hayes, owner of Hedge Plus, here with us. And we got 5 questions as always. You ready to go?
I'm ready to rock.
All right, sounds good. First question says, do you think the low is in for corn and beans?
Great question. Since the low is like 3 or 4 cents below where we are right now, maybe 5 in corn, and it just happened 2 days ago, and anything can move the market 5 or 6 cents. I have no idea. It's too close. We could very well put in a bottom. What I do know for sure, though, is that this is a price that I don't think is sustainable. So the better question is this lower price sustainable for, and then even lower as we get into harvest. And I don't think it's sustainable. I think we have a bounce at some point, whether it's from a new low 6 cents lower or from this level. I don't know. It's too close. But I do not think it's sustainable.
Do you think we'll start to see demand pick up at these prices?
I would hope so. Demand was fantastic over the whole winter season with this price, in this price range. So yes, I think that will be the case. However, end users know that we're going to have over 2 billion bushels left as of September 1st. They also know that the crop is off to a good start and that we planted enough acres so that we should end up with at least 2 billion bushel ending stock, even with good demand. Will we see a bump in demand? Just depends on how far ahead end users have bought. Have they bought ahead already? Or do they want to increase their coffers and store more corn right now when they're going to see a low price during harvest? In other words, the risk to the end user isn't that great where they have to buy ahead. Where the risk at harvest time is, right? We usually rally once a bin door is locked. They know the old crop bin doors aren't going to lock because people have to move it for the new crop. So it's a little bit different right now, but I do expect demand to stay strong.
Okay. This question says, are you expecting the USDA to do much on Friday with regard to corn stocks and possibly yields?
Demand looks like it's going to increase some, and so that will lower stocks and these stocks. Yield, they don't do a whole lot in June because it's really early, but if they do anything, it's due to the fact that we usually get better yields with early planting, and we had rapid planting, and we got moisture to work with. So maybe they raise the yield a bushel. I don't think it's going to be a big mover in yields for corn or beans. Maybe a little bit better in corn, with beans being pretty much left alone. Overall, I think ending stocks come down a little bit for corn. Not a big report. The big one is June 30th.
Okay. This one says, winter wheat somehow got even worse. This is regards to condition ratings. Do you expect the wheat to turn around and start to rally?
No, I do expect wheat to at least stay where it is, right? We're entering harvest time. So there's not a whole lot to harvest of the KC wheat crop. Chicago wheat crop, this is a pretty good crop, right? But the KC wheat crop is been hit really hard. So I don't expect this to go down in KC, and maybe we will go down lower in Chicago wheat with the harvest pressure coming on. You know, there's some really good things you can do with the KC wheat. You can get like 40 plus cents for selling at the money put for December. 40-cent room to be long from this price level, I think, is a really good way to add 40 cents to sales. So there's things you can do. Will we rally up to $7-8? Yeah, the world has enough wheat. It's just that Kansas City wheat has really gotten hit, and that's caused us to rally significantly. And we're looking at $6.50 out in December, so that's the okay price. I expect it at least to stay in here, though.
Okay. What do you expect the June supply and demand report to show for soybeans? Any surprises?
Yeah, nothing. I don't. Maybe a little bit lower demand. maybe I don't see more than a 15 million bushel move one way or the other on ending stocks. I think it's going to be pretty neutral. It's just too early to really change yield. It's just too early to change risk. Some beans have wet feet. They don't like wet feet. Some beans have gotten into the ground, look pretty good. So it's just too early for beans. And demand, we haven't seen a big push up since the Trump-China meeting is in demand. So I think it's pretty status quo.
Okay. Yeah, like we kind of talked about before, whenever you've got a supply and demand report in a month, there's a quarterly stocks. And with June, it's, what is it? It's the planted acres? Is
Yeah,
that what?
final planted acre numbers and the quarterly stocks as of June 1st, third quarter.
Right. And so with that report, they tend not to make many big waves on the typical monthly supply and demand report, which is what we have this Friday.
Yeah, well, we'll get the big mover on the 30th. That
Yeah.
could be crazy.
Yeah, that's typically one of the most important reports of the year, right? The one at the end of
Yeah, I
June?
would say one of the top 2 or 3. The initial planting intentions report, this one with the final number, and then the final stocks number for the old crop that comes out in January with the quarterly stocks report of the first quarter. That's a biggie too. So those 3 are definitely the 3 biggest
Okay.
market
Final
movers too.
questions? What that?
Yeah. I said biggest price mover too.
Oh, yeah, for sure. All right, this final question from a prospect. It says, I was surprised to see corn at 67% good to excellent. Do you think these ratings are going to start climbing now that we're getting all the rain in the Midwest?
Do I think they're going to start climbing and become better? We have areas that are too wet. That again are a lot of rain day after day after day. There's areas like here in Wisconsin where it keeps looking like it's going to rain and hasn't. Our crop is going to start getting hit significantly along with Michigan's if we go another week or two with this kind of dryness. There's an old saying that when the grass turns yellow, they wait a week or two and it'll start affecting yields in corn. We're yellow. I mean, the outside this building right here, it's dormant. Corn is grass is dormant. So it's a first warning sign that we could start losing some potential in some areas. I don't think they're going to change yield much until we start to see what the weather's going to be like in July. I think we're going to see the crop conditions stay pretty solid right now. They're not fantastic this early in the year. They're just good, and I think they'll stay right around where they are for a while until the weather changes or we get some kind of issue.
Yeah, I think this question came from somebody who's in one of the fortunate areas where everything's looking really good, perhaps Iowa. And but there's issues in certain places, but obviously nothing too dramatic yet to have us any kind of major swings with ratings.
We were too cool in the beginning, but the heating degrees have caught up like North Dakota like crazy. Yeah, I got 2 farmers I talked to this morning. One in the southern part of South Dakota that hasn't got much rain, keeps missing them. I got one about 150 miles literally north of him, and he is trying to finish planting in mud. So, when you have these kind of patterns, it's typical that you get really heavy showers over periods of overlaying certain places, and it doesn't get to other places. We've been watching for last week here in Wisconsin. The rain gets about Madison, then it just dies. It doesn't get to us. But yet everything west of Madison's been getting rain for every other day for like a week and a half. It's just a weird pattern right now. That's why I don't think it's going to change much. I don't think the USDA anybody has a firm handle on what crop conditions, where they're going to go right now.
Okay, good. All right. Well, that's all 5 questions for this week. Thank you, everyone, for the questions. Thank you, Patrick, for the answers. Anything left to say before this week's supply and demand report?
Yeah, I think we're in a period where we're starting to do discovery, right? Price discovery. How good is this crop going to be? What are the fundamentals going to be? And I think we get the answer over the next 2 weeks. We took a lot of risk out for a while there, right? Rapid planting, got some rain. Everybody got rain. But one thing we all know is that the plains need rain on a very regular basis. They got moisture to start this crop and get it going. They do not have the subsoil to maintain it. So regular rains are going to be critical going forward. So far, the weather forecasts look pretty accommodating with a big cool down coming, and a cool down at the end of June, middle of June, July. That's a good thing, right? You know, we don't have the extreme heat. But weather's about to change, and it always does. We'll flip one way or another. And once we get that information in about how good this crop's really going to be, once we get closer to pollination, I think you'll see a sustained move one way or the other. I don't think it's going to stay here forever, but next week or two I think it's going to take a breather.
Okay. Thank you for that. And that's all for this week, everyone. We'll see you again next week.
Yeah, have a great week, everyone.